Hello and welcome to the Curios cast, episode 19, Medical Oddities.
So, what's the crack?
Hello, welcome back. Episode 19. As always, I'm George and I'm here with Rob and Tom.
Yeah.
Your two favourite co-hosts.
Oh, yeah.
On your favourite podcast.
Yes.
Absolutely taking the podcasting scene by storm. So thanks for joining along on the wild ride it's been.
All storms start out little. Probably.
It's true.
I don't know.
Apart from the perfect storm, that was massive.
Yeah. We'll do a weather episode one day and I'll look into that.
What is your favourite type of cloud?
Oh,
Cumulus Maximus.
I can't remember any cloud names, like Columbus or whatever it is.
Cumulus arises.
I like lenticular clouds.
I like the fluffy one.
I very much enjoy crepuscular rays when they happen.
Oh, yeah.
That is a cloud phenomena, and that is a great word.
Isn't there cream for that?
I like the muck clouds. They're good.
Yeah, oh yeah, they are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I just got that.
Yeah, there you go. Alright, yeah, so
how are you doing? How are you doing, boys? Are you all good?
I'm great.
Grand.
Yeah.
Grand.
Yeah.
So what's the crack today? Medical
oddities, yeah. Everything weird with medicine and doctors and bodies.
Took us far too long to decide on that name.
Yeah.
Weird
medicine is not a good name.
No, because none of us have anything to do with medicine.
No.
Who wants to go first then? What are you drinking, George?
I've got a lovely can of John Smith's.
Oh, nice. I'm on the Heineken. Well, we're all having beer tonight.
Oh yeah, I'm on the Fosters.
It is Friday night.
It's the cheapest one in the corner shop.
I'm a Heineken or Red Stripe man normally. They're about the same price.
Red Stripe.
Red Stripe is great. Classic,
I can see you out in a beer garden, Rob, drinking a Red Stripe.
I love that. When I lived in his cottage for a while, just outside Horndon.
You went cottage?
Yeah, very good. Only lasted about 6 months till the woman didn't. We had like a 6-month contract and she didn't renew it. She hated us. But we used to get. Do you remember there was a place in Stamford called Bud's that did beer delivery?
Yeah.
And it was crazy. They'd drive to you and all they would charge is an extra £1 for delivery, and Red Stripe were £1. So we'd just be there and we'd be like, "Can we have 10 Red Stripe?" And she would just drive it. Eventually, like when you first had to find this cottage, it was really hard to describe to people where it was. And most people would be like, "I ain't coming there." Eventually, when they realised where it wasn't actually that far. And eventually, we'd call up and be like, "Can we have 10 Red Stripe, please?" She'd be like, "Sit the boys in the cottage." We'd be like, "Yeah." Like, they just come along, 10 Red Stripe, £11. There you go. It's fucking great.
That is brilliant.
Yeah. Anyway,
you was probably just keeping them afloat for years.
Yeah, I think we were tightening over. Like, yeah, and we called them twice a night sometimes. Ran out of beers.
You should have just ordered 20.
Yeah, exactly.
See? Unbelievable.
I was thinking about this on that note quickly while we're talking about beer. I keep feeling so guilty going into the shops. I've been buying like quite an unreasonable amount of beer at the minute, but like it's not just me drinking it. You know, like I'll go in and buy it, but like me and Gina will both drink them. But I dread it being the same man when I go in the shop. I'm like, and it always it always is. He must work the night shift or whatever. And I just think he must think I'm such a crackhead. Like he must actually think I've got a bit of a problem. I go in there like fairly regularly and buy beer. And like,
the corner shop that I go to, which is literally like a 30-second walk from my house. The woman who works in there and owns the place, she's known me since I've lived there, which was 23 years. So she's known me since I was like 1 year old. And obviously see me going in
there for beers then.
Yeah, she see me go in and buy sweets and stuff, you know. And then now, every weekend I'm just like, another crate of beer.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I should just buy more. Okay, because I go and buy like 8 or whatever, but then like I just do it so regularly. It seems like such a... And it's in my own head. Like I'm judging myself, but I swear he's judging me. Like I see him in the queue and I'm like, he's looking at me. He's thinking he's that prick again. Here he is just getting beers. Like I used to try and mask it by buying bread as well or something, but I thought that just seems more.
It'd be worse if you just went in and bought one can of like Super Kestrel.
Yeah, every time.
So I wouldn't feel too bad. That'd be worse.
A bit more bleak.
I'd quite like to go first.
Other beers are available, by the way, other than Heineken, Foster's, and John Smith's.
You're going first, Tom.
Yeah, I'd like to go first.
Yeah, go on. I'll accept.
So, I was sort of inspired by a old story that George brought up on. I think it was on our mystery episode that got lost. So
that's so good. The irony of that is not lost on us.
Yeah. So
that will come back at one.
Yeah.
Point,
the fans of the Curios cast haven't heard this story, I believe, but I think it was on the episode. You spoke about this guy who could eat an incredible amount of food. His name was like
Terre.
You're
stealing my story.
No. So I'm not talking about Terre.
I'm done already.
I'm talking about someone else who ate some other stuff. So
the guy who ate a plane or the Eiffel Tower or something.
No, I did read about the guy who ate a plane. He ate a Cessna.
What?
I've got an article about him as well. His name was Monsieur Mons 2. And
no, it's not.
Monsieur Monge 2. As in eat all.
Yeah. Monsieur Mons 2. And
I love that. I love Monge 2.
There's videos of him like eating glass. He's in the Guinness World Record, but like it's all legit. Like there was a video they've done like an ultrasound on his belly and everything to make sure he was eating it. And there's a video, it's really good, where he's in like a ski resort, and you've got the mountains, all the skiers in the background, everyone's chilling with their ski jackets, on the outside benches having a drink and stuff. And then he just like sits down on the benches, drinks his beer, and then just starts eating the glass, and he's like obviously snapping it off and like just crunching it. So everyone's looking at him, everyone's thinking he's crazy. He walks up to this group of people and asks this lady for a cigarette. And he just takes it, just eats it. And the way he puts it in his mouth is he like puts the end in his mouth like he's about to smoke it, and he just kind of like chews it like he's like when you got like spaghetti hanging out your mouth or something. And it's still lit. And he just chews it.
Lit,
It was good. But he ate a Cessna. I don't know if he ate the whole plane like that. I didn't actually read it. I just thought that's crazy. But this is an older story. So this is a journal from 1812, and it was essentially like this doctor kept a really extensive journal. Quite a lot of doctors did during like the 1700s and 1800s, I guess, when they were just discovering all this shit, like, figuring it out. They wrote like really detailed journals on their discoveries and stuff. And this was about a galley slave, and it's called The Galley Slave and the Barrel Hoop. And it's essentially so a galley slave who was originally from France, I believe. And it seemed like he had a pretty rough time just in life. He was like a soldier, went through like a shitload during a war and like nearly died or something like that. And then somehow he got captured and he was a slave. And a galley slave is essentially just you're those people at the bottom of the boat who get chained up to the oars, and you're just like you're rowing, and if you stop rowing, you just get beaten and chucked off the boat or something like that. But they arrived at a port in Brest, and in 1774, and he complained of coughs, pains in the stomach and bowels, for which the physician
and bowels. What does that mean?
Bowels, not in your gut.
Yeah, I know what you.
Down your.
And what bowels? Just said he had bowels.
No, he had pains in his stomach and bowels.
Everyone's got bowels.
I know. I was thinking about like, I'm an idiot. I just put the comma in the wrong place, like in my head. Anyway, sorry. I was like, these are the things he has. He has pains in his stomach and bowels, not pains in his stomach and bowels. Like, I'm being a dickhead.
Stomach and Bowels. That could be a band name. Stomach and Bowels. They're like a country band.
And Rob's next band.
Yeah.
Folk club
But
band
up
name.
next, it's Stomach and Bowels.
Sorry, that's enough of me getting confused. Carry on.
So he was prescribed some remedies which seemed to give him some relief. I mean, God knows what kind of remedies they were giving people in, the late 1700s. Probably just a mix of a load of shit. It didn't work. I think it was probably just painkillers. They probably just gave him a bunch of like morphine and shit, and he felt all right. But it didn't work, so he went to a different physician, and this is like, it's all confirmed because it's in multiple different doctors' like journals. and the case was took over by a Monsieur Fournier, and it says the patient at this time complained of pains in the stomach and vomiting, which much fatigued him. Dr. Fournier, not being able to ascertain the cause or nature of the complaints, directed some remedies which he thought suitable to the case. He was not successful, for the man died on the 10th day of the month at 2 o'clock in the morning. On the following morning, the body was opened. So the doctors found evidence of serious inflammation in the lungs, but the strangest finding was that the stomach had been displaced from its usual position and seemed to contain several hard bodies. Dr. Fournier decided to postpone the post-mortem until the afternoon, realising he should show the case to as many of his colleagues as possible. So, he waited for them all to get off lunch and come back and have a look at this bloke. So he just cut him open, left him on the table, and just went, I'll come back to him in a bit. In the meantime, the chest being open, he wished to trace the esophagus its whole length. For this purpose, he turned over the heart and lungs to the opposite side. In effecting this, he ruptured the esophagus. So, he wanted to see what was in the throat and stuff before proper going into the stomach. So, and then he accidentally ripped it open. And inside was a piece of black wood, which reached from the beginning of the canal to the stomach itself. So the wood was like literally from the top of his esophagus all the way down into his stomach. Just one piece of wood.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, so notwithstanding this singular appearance, he waited till his colleagues arrived before he proceeded to gratify his curiosity. A few hours later, more than 50 people, physicians, surgeons, students, and others were there to watch the autopsy. He began pointing out that the stomach was an unusual shape, distorted into an elongated cuboid by its contents. Then he made an incision into the organ and removed a catalogue of items so extensive and bizarre that one of his assistants recorded it for posterity. So there's a list of articles found in the stomach of the man named Basil. Not his real. I don't think he had a name. He's a slave, right? So the bit of wood that was going from his esophagus down into his stomach was a 19-inch long and 1 inch broad piece of wood from, it says, a hoop of a barrel. So I think that's like like a big barrel they would have on ships and stuff, like a big like casket type thing. And so that was the big long piece that was pulled from his esophagus.
I don't think you mean casket, by the way. Cask.
A casket's, cask. That's it, yeah.
Casket's a coffin.
The dead person's box. Yeah. So this is the object the doctor had found first, lodged in the esophagus. Almost 50 centimetres in length. Next came 5 pieces of wood, described as coming from the broom shrub, ranging from 4 to 8 inches in length, and 11 pieces of oak, most of them about 5 inches long. It says then there were 5 pieces of deal. I don't know what deal is, like D-E-A-L.
Oh.
Deal.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Some old-timey French thing.
It's a place in Kent.
Yeah.
Had bits of deal in it.
It says that up to 4 inches long. At this point, things began to get really interesting.
At this point, only
it wasn't interesting.
Pretty standard at this point.
Very now.
Yeah.
So it just says the stuff that we had already read. The piece of hoop barrel or whatever. A lump of wood 1 inch long and 1 inch in diameter. A wooden spoon 5 inches long. A tube of a tin funnel 3 inches and a half long and 1 inch in diameter. Another piece of a funnel 2.5 long and 1.5 inches in diameter. The handle of a tin spoon, an entire tin spoon 7 inches long. The bowl of the spoon bent back, so I guess he tried to proper squeeze it in. Another spoon of the same metal. Another spoon.
They could have lumped all those spoons into one.
Yeah, I think they're all different
thing.
lengths. 3 inches, 2 inches, 2.5 inches. a piece of iron 2.5 long and 1 inch broad, and 4 lines in thickness, weighing 1 ounce.
What the fuck is a line?
I don't know.
How's that?
Yeah.
What measurement is that?
Yeah, I don't know. It also says in weight it weighs 1 ounce and 4 drams and a half. How do you pronounce that? Drachms. Drams. Yeah, I think the k is silent.
How do you spell it?
But DRACHMS. And I did look it up, and it's basically just an old timey way of weighing stuff. It's like, like a dram is like 1/18 of an ounce or something like that.
Yeah,
like
is that to do like a weird drama whiskey?
Because I think it was originally
Didn't know you was Welsh.
It was originally like a just a form of weight, and then it got changed into like a way of measuring liquid or something.
Okay.
I got bored reading about drams. I was more interested in the bowl of the tobacco pipe with part of the tube, a nail half polished without the point, with its head, a sharp pointed nail, a piece of a tin spoon, again flattened 1 inch long, 3 pieces of a metal buckle for a regular form. Yep, of a regular form.
It's like Mary Poppins' handbag.
5 plumb stones, a small piece of horn, 2 pieces of white glass, the largest 1 inch, and 4 lines in length. The lines are coming back again. 2 pieces of leather, the largest 3 inches long. A knife with its blade, wooden handle, bent 3.5 inches long. And it says, the total of these several articles was 52 pieces, weighing altogether 1 pound, 10 ounces, and 4 drams. Which is not as heavy as I thought. Like all those things, it weighs less than 2 pounds. And it kind of says, it ends all that with just truly impressive. But why and how did this hardware shop's worth of stuff get in there? And
I'm guessing through the mouth.
Yeah, so apparently, so
it's gone the wrong way for his body, all the way.
I don't think that goes into your stomach then, though, George.
Well, it does at some point, though, doesn't it?
I suppose.
You'd have to be really talented.
You would.
It's all connected.
Yeah, I suppose.
So it says he'd been a soldier in the Marines for 13 years and was discharged from the service. His head being deranged was what he was dismissed by, having a deranged head. Among other things, his comrades often persuaded him that he was very ill, to which he answered he believed he was, and took to his bed. So it seems like he was just like...
He was just egged on to eat shit, probably.
Yeah, like the amount of like mental health issues must have just like in the 1700s, just like, that's not even a thing. Like, you're just fucked, aren't you?
Yeah.
So it says, at bed, at that time he had a great appetite and ate much. Dismissed from the royal corps, he turned to Nantes, where after some time he was condemned to the galleys. So they just was like, you're messed up, mate. You're going to row for the rest of your life. It said they spent the time on board chained to an oar, and then they were chained up at their destination, blah, blah, blah. But it says many of his companions who were subjected to the same punishment who were with him in prison assured me that he has often seen him scrape the lime and mortar which covered the walls of the prison and put a large quantity of them into his soup, saying that it strengthened him and gave him courage. So he was just like scraping basically concrete and shit off the wall and mixing it with his soup as well.
I'll do it, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I'm surprised he like survived for so long.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been doing that forever.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe it worked. Maybe that part worked. Maybe it did make him strong.
Not strong enough.
No.
Though. Although maybe because he wasn't getting any concrete on the boat. That was what was keeping him.
There you go.
Keeping him going.
That's the secret.
Oh yeah, he was like, it is rough. You do have to row a lot, and they keep whipping me, but God, I can't get away from this wood.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially that's it. It goes on to sort of say other slaves sort of like
are available.
They confirmed that he regularly was eating wood. They'd seen him eat large pieces of wood sort of like recently before he died. They couldn't confirm whether he did swallow the enormous piece of hoop of 19 inches, but I can't see what else.
Maybe
what
he
does
was
that mean?
trying to
Yeah,
kill
what else did
himself.
he do?
Like,
I
if
was
it
saying, I was
if he
thinking
was
that
a-
straight away.
yeah.
Was he just like, fuck this, and it's the only way he could think to do
maybe.
it? Just eat all this shit.
Yeah,
Wow, pretty bleak.
at the end it kind of just says
It's not quite as fun as Terraire's story.
No.
is it? Like, Terraire's story was, there's a bit of adventure behind it, but this guy was obviously
no.
just...
So I've got one that is a
terrible
little bit
time.
more terrary.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think we need to speak about Terraire as well, by the way. We can't... we got to bring them up. We'll do that at the end of this episode.
Yeah,
We'll have a
so-
Terraire.
I mean this one. So it's not Terraire, but this is essentially very similar to Terraire. I don't
Why
think
are they all
it's,
French as well, by the way? I've just noticed that. He was French. Terraire was French. Is this one French?
this one is. It might be English because it says it was the what do you call
His
it?
name was Barry Smith.
Journal was like logged in Somerset Place.
Yeah,
And his name was. Oh wait,
It could be America.
he was French.
Hey.
See, look, Scott.
They're all
his name-
French.
it said- so his,
and then the
yeah,
and then the Cessna guy's French.
yeah, these Frenchies, man. So his name was this guy. His name was Charles Demery, and it says he was a native of Benchy. Bonche. Oh, this is not even French. Okay, so this guy's been all over the place. So Charles, he was a native of Bonche on the frontiers of Poland. Aged 21, he was brought to the prison of Liverpool, and then in February of 1799, having been a soldier in the French service, captured by a squadron leader. So of Ireland. So he'd been all over the place, right? Again, another soldier. I feel like most people were soldiers in that time, right? You're like a soldier or a farmer, and that's it, really.
Yeah, or both.
Yeah. But this guy, he was one of 9 brothers who, with their father, had been remarkable for the big appetites. I couldn't read that other
Are you
word.
translating this?
I
from
couldn't
French?
read that other word. They were all placed. They were all placed early in the army. Blah blah blah. They had big bellies, and they would like it goes on and on. Like, you know how old timey people used to write. But it says he ate so much that he was allowed 2 rations when he was in the army, and
That
by
was like
his
Terraire,
earnings,
wasn't it?
Yeah,
we keep banging
That's
on
not
about
how it should
Terraire,
work,
yeah.
is it? Really?
Terraire,
Oh,
from what I remember, Terraire wasn't given 2 rations. He just used to.
he used to eat
Steal,
anything. He used to
yeah.
find-
And that was the problem. They didn't give him 2 rations. They said no, like you're just
Yeah.
like everyone
Ruin
else.
it.
Yes, but
Don't
this
ruin
guy, they let
Terraire.
him have his rations then.
Let him wait
yeah.
till the end of the episode.
Okay.
Terraire. It's worth it.
So it
Everyone,
says-
trust me. It's good. It's good.
Really hyping
When-
Terraire.
Yeah.
When in the camp, if bread or meat was scarce, he made up the deficiency by eating 4 or 5 pounds of grass daily, and in one
It's the
year
same, innit?
devoured 174 cats.
What the
so he-
fuck?
Yeah, like he would just eat cats. Like he was so hungry, dead or alive, and says he had
Christ.
several severe conflicts in the act of destroying them. So obviously people were not happy with him eating their cat.
Fucking hell. Or conflicts with the cats. If he's eating them fucking alive.
Oh no. Okay, so it says several severe conflicts in the act of destroying them by feeling the effects of their torment on his face and hands.
Yeah,
So he just obviously
Jesus,
just felt guilty
yeah.
killing them.
Oh no,
Yeah, it says-
no,
I know, and
doesn't
they
he
were
mean
scratching him.
them fucking him up because he's
Yeah,
he's
they
trying to
scratched
eat him
and shit.
alive.
Oh,
So they're
maybe.
obviously like
they're scratching the shit out of him.
that's awful. That is such a bleak man. That's gonna haunt me tonight.
Well,
Some
this
guy-
is even
some guy
worse. It
just
says
eating a
sometimes
cat
he
as
killed
it's
them
like-
before eating,
Fuck.
but when very hungry, he did not wait to perform this humane office.
Fucking hell.
So
That is
yeah, you just-
awful.
Got to be pretty hungry.
I
to
mean,
eat
that
a
must
cat.
be rough because,
alive.
like,
Yeah.
you ever tried to just pick up
Nah,
a cat when it doesn't want?
Yeah,
like, it doesn't
yeah,
want to pick
they
up.
are not
They
having
fuck
that.
you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
Or
you reckon he ate the tail? Because there's not much eating on a tail.
well, it says
is there,
he
really?
devoured 174 cats, and then in brackets it says not their skins. So maybe he just ripped them open or
Oh,
something. I
man.
don't know.
No, man, that's
He's,
fucked.
he's not an animal, he's not a monster.
Well,
Draw the line at the skin, mate.
okay, but
Christ.
dogs and rats equally suffered from his merciless jaws, and if much pinched by famine, the entrails of animals indiscriminately become his prey. So he just used to, if he was hungry, he'd eat an animal. Didn't give a fuck what it was.
Fucking hell. Wow.
There was
whenever you read about like 1700s or 1800s, it just sounds shit, doesn't it? There's like no redeeming qualities.
Fucking awful, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine being that hungry that you just. Well, I suppose some people are still that hungry
was
around
he,
the world. But
is there anything about like why he was so hungry? Like, did he die of it? Well, obviously he died eventually, but I mean, did he like die an untimely death or?
So yeah, it does sort of go through his life a little bit. So after it talks about him eating cats, dogs, rats, and grass and everything, it says this one time he was, as usual, hungry and nothing else in his way but a man's leg, which was shot off lying before him. So it sounds like when he was in the army and they was on a boat and they're probably shooting cannons and shit at each other, and this geezer got his leg blown off. And he was like, I'm having that.
Yeah.
So he started, oh, fuck it, like nice little
result,
yeah, drumstick.
Oh.
And so he attacked it greedily and was feeding heartily when a sailor snatched it from him and threw it overboard. So they obviously weren't fans of him
eating a leg.
That man's leg.
Yeah, not about that.
It says, eating a human leg might be understandable if the individual was in extremis or about to starve, but his dietary habits as a prisoner of war suggest that this was a matter of choice. And then I think there's a quote from someone who like knew him personally. It says, since he came to this prison, he has ate one dead cat and about 20 rats, but what he delights most in is raw meat, beef or mutton, of which though plentifully supplied by eating the rations of 10 men daily, he complains he has not had the same quantity nor indulged in eating so much as he used to when in France.
Was he like big, or is he like just normal size, or
I don't know. It says he often devours a bullock's liver, raw, 3 pounds of candles, and a few pounds of raw beef in one day.
I mean, to be fair to him,
regularly
I do look
eats
at
the
a candle
candles,
sometimes, and I really think they look delicious.
Sometimes you do smell them, and that is after you think I could probably eat that, but nah.
Did you read about the KFC candles last year?
We've spoke that.
I think
we did talk about that. Yeah, it's one of those bullshit things that's not true, and it's sure.
They
it's
always
just like an
no.
It was true.
It is true, but KFC always do this, like these publicity stunts where they've done candles that smell like KFC gravy. They've done like hand cream and like sanitizer that smells like gravy and stuff like that. And they do actually sell it, but they'll sell like a couple hundred of them. Yeah, but it's just the publicity that they get in, really. Yeah. Like it's worth it. But yeah, so he used to eat a lot of candles. It says, he ate all that without tasting bread or vegetables, washing it down with water if his allowance of beer is expended. So, didn't touch the veg at all.
Cause that'd be weird.
Yeah,
I like the fact you can eat all that shit and be like a fussy eater still.
So, do you reckon he didn't like his food touching on the plate as well? Those people.
I keep my raw meat with my raw meat, and my
cat
cats,
with my cat,
yeah,
my bullock with my bullock,
my
grass with my grass
rats on the side, and my cats over.
Yeah.
It says when he was in hospital, I guess he was like injured in the war or whatever. It said he liked to consume any leftover medicine that his comrades couldn't stomach, apparently without any adverse effects on his health. And it says his captors.
It's medicine, isn't it?
So when he got captured by, I think
imagine
it was
dying from medicine. You'd be well pissed off.
Dying from medicine. Yeah, medicine's good for you.
Yeah. Surely there's no bad medicine.
Nah.
Maybe there is.
So when he was captured, his captors decided to try an experiment. And they just wanted to try and see how much he could eat in one day. So it's all logged. It's just on the.
He was probably loving it.
Yeah. It's like an episode of The Simpsons where Homer like gets sent to hell or something, and his sin is like gluttony. Yeah, so they want to torture him in a gluttonous way. So the devil puts him at the end of a conveyor belt with donuts, and then it fades to black, fades back, and he's like, it's like years later, and Homer's just still eating his donuts because he loves it. But this is Charles, whatever this guy's name is. So they wanted to try and see how much he could eat in one day. This was on the 7th of September, 1799, at 4 o'clock in the morning. He breakfasted on
don't
4
wanna be eating
pounds.
that much in the morning, do you?
No, 4 in the morning. He breakfasted on 4 pounds of raw cow's udder, and then at 9:30, so gave it a few hours, in the presence of Dr. Johnston, Commissioner of Sick and Wounded Seamen, Admiral Child and his son, blah blah blah, and several respectable gentlemen.
So I've just realised that you said cow udder.
Yeah.
Like, why was that chosen as like the first meal of the day? I
Don't
mean,
know.
What they got knocking about.
we've got
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah.
Like we got.
They don't want to waste
what
the
we got
good
in the
shit
pack?
on him when they're doing
We've
this.
got nothing in the cupboards.
Yeah.
We haven't even got any beans.
Yeah.
We haven't got any tins.
No,
But we have got this
they
cow
don't want to
udder.
waste the good shit, do they? They're probably like, if we're going to make this fucker eat whatever we can, let's just give him the scraps.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it does actually get better
Go on,
from
yeah,
there. I
go
think
on.
they gave him, he ranks up. He goes from having 4 pounds of raw cow udder to 5 pounds of raw beef, 12 tallow candles of a pound in weight, and a bottle of porter. He finished those by 10:30. So literally, it only took him an hour to eat 5 pounds of raw beef and 12 candles. And then at 1 o'clock, so only a couple hours later again.
Why does he love candles so much?
That's
Maybe
really
we were
weird.
missing out. Maybe candles are like the.
It does explain
think?
later on why he eats the
Is it
candles.
because they're made out of fat?
I think it's to just moisten his throat and mouth. So he'd be eating so much food that like his throat dries up or whatever, and he says he puts the candle in his mouth and then like with his teeth like scrapes off the wax from the outside, and then it sort of like gets his lubricates his inside. But so he had the
lubricates his inside.
yeah.
It's very weird. Go on.
And then it says they gave him 5 pounds more beef, a pound of candles again, 3 bottles of porter, at which time he was locked in the room and sentries placed at the window to prevent him throwing away food or any of his provisions. So they thought he might have been cheating. So that's why they got several respectable gentlemen and they like locked him in. And then at 2 o'clock, when again I saw him with 2 friends, he had nearly finished the whole of the candles and a great part of the beef. And it said he hadn't been sick or hadn't even urinated. He was just like chill. And it said his skin was cool and poised and regular and in good spirits. And
He's loving it.
yeah, where does it say about the candles? It says, basically exactly that. So when his throat is dry from continued exercise, he lubricates it by stripping the grease off the candle between his teeth, which he generally finished at 3 mouthfuls. So it took him 3 mouthfuls to finish a candle. And that was it. It says he can, when no choice is left, make shift to dine on immense quantities of raw potatoes and turnips, but from choice would never desire to taste bread or vegetables.
Well,
Yeah,
there you go.
he is in every respect healthy and tongue clean and his eyes lively. And that is it.
I'll bet he's getting fed that amount.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
So did he survive, or did he die early, like Rob said, or anything, or did he
Doesn't
just
say.
carry on
That was it.
living the dream?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's strange that you do. I swear, like in like even now, you get like Guinness Book of Records stuff, don't you, about people that eat like light bulbs and shit. And there's it is some sort of medical condition that like their body is like deficient in something, and there's normally like some. I swear, like, I heard about like a guy that eats bricks or something, and it was like his body was deficient in a certain something that was contained in bricks or something, and it's like it makes him
Concrete.
yearn for it. Well, like it's maybe not something that's in bricks, but something about
Yeah.
that it tricks the mind into thinking that's what he wants or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is crazy.
That's really shit. Well, it's probably nothing like that at all, is it?
I don't know.
On that note,
Imagine like a prime minister or a president ending their speech with.
do you know what, actually?
I don't know.
Yeah, because they normally go on a blag like that, don't they? But they don't actually. So yeah, it'd be great if they're just chatting shit. Chatting shit, and they go, "Hey, actually, I ain't really got a fucking clue, lads. I ain't got a fucking clue what I'm doing here."
I love it.
Yeah. On that note, I'll go next.
That's good. That I enjoyed those, Tom. I like a good historical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
you do love
eating
weirdness.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I found it. So I'm gonna be honest. I found a website that has a lot of that content on it, but I'm not sharing it because
Got to dip into it every now and again.
yeah.
It's weird though because that at least that last one, the dates are really similar to Terraria. You know, like they're different people, but it all seemed to happen around the same sort of time.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's, you know, and they're all like soldiers in the French Napoleonic army. Maybe it's like a stress thing as well.
Yeah.
They just start like
maybe,
fucking eating shit and. So,
yeah. And maybe it did happen.
More on Terraria later,
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe it did happen all over the world, but the French were the only ones to record it or something like that.
Maybe.
They like their
better
food
records.
though, don't they? The French.
They do like their food,
maybe it is.
Yeah, true.
So my one, I found it hard looking these things up. First of all, because I was looking it up and being like, there
You
is
feel
some
queasy.
Yeah, there was just some rank stuff comes up straight away. Mine is kind of rank, but it reminded me of it. So when we started talking about stuff, and I looked at a few articles and then found something similar to this, and then it reminded me of this. So, but you've probably heard of it. It might be something you might have heard of. So basically, there's I'll sort of talk. I'll read through the story because it's sort of, well, I say story. It's actually just kind of like it's on the British Medical Journal website. So it's not written in a particularly story told way, but I'll go for it anyway.
Yeah.
Returning to the UK after a trip to Argentina, a woman in her 50s felt generally unwell. The patient was initially treated by her general practitioner with oral antibiotics for a left-sided ear infection. Around the same time, she also became aware of two itchy, raised lesions on the anterior and posterior aspects of the left side of her scalp, which her GP diagnosed as cysts and treated with a separate course of antibiotics when she returned a week later. However, over the next 3 weeks, the cysts grew in size, discharging clear, odourless fluid and producing intermittent stabbing pains. Further investigation was therefore sought. By the time she was admitted to the hospital, 7 weeks after return to the UK, the cysts were approximately 2 centimetres in diameter, raised but not inflamed, each with a noticeable central punctum.
Punctum. That's a good word.
Yeah, it's a good word, isn't it? Punctum. And it figure 1, and it shows a picture of the punctum. It's horrible looking. The patient also reported being able to sense movements within her scalp around the affected regions.
Coming.
Yeah, you know it's going there.
Yeah.
Bloods taken prior to admission were all normal, other than a mildly raised thyroid-stimulating hormone level from chronic hypothyroidism. This is sort of medical. I don't know if that's related at all. A midstream urine also revealed no anomalous findings. Midstream urine. The lads love drinking the midstream urine. The lads from the lads and lasses from the urine therapy. The guys that drink.
What's a midstream?
I guess it means
what's that defined as?
Not the start of your piss, not the end of your piss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start pissing. Give it a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Grab that.
Yeah, it is interesting that a medical
okay.
journal actually refers to the midstream. You know, like being actually a different thing that they would say. Get the midstream for the study. And these guys are like, drink the midstream. I love it. That's where all the good stuff is. You know. A differential diagnosis
clip that, Tom. Clip that. Just get rid of guys and just be Rob saying he loves to drink the midstream.
A differential diagnosis of myiasis with 2 human botfly larvae was proposed, and a plan was made to extract them by smothering the cysts with Vaseline. So basically, it turns out she's got botfly larvae in her head. This would.
I was like expecting spider eggs or something.
Yeah,
like
or
that.
something. Yeah, these things are fucking rank. You see the size of these fuckers as well.
I saw a video on like a girl. I think it was in Africa somewhere. Like she was in like South Africa, but she'd been to somewhere else in Africa, and she had like all these on her arm, like probably 8 like similar sort of thing, like cysts on her arm, and the doctor was extracting these botfly larvae out of her arm, but like leaving actual like massive holes in her arm.
Yeah. Well, there's quite a few videos of it on YouTube. A lot of people like it. You know, there's that weird thing where people like pimple popping and stuff. Yeah. People like this as well, because you see them. I mean, it's kind of satisfying when they come out, but then obviously there's the thing. When I read about this before, they have to let them get to a certain size because you can't pull them out too soon because if they're too small, normally they break, when you try and pull them out. So they have to let them. So normally they have to like tape them up and go like, cool, we now know what it is. Tape this fucker up, leave him in there until it grows big enough. Because eventually the idea would be they would do that, live off your insides, and then they kind of just pop out anyway.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't leave it alone. Like,
imagine knowing that. Yeah,
cut it out.
But they get it to a certain size, and then they pull them out. And there's videos they pull them out with tweezers, and they come out like. And these fuckers are like, I've sent the articles. You can see the picture. This one's quite a small one actually. The anterior larvae was successfully removed, and the posterior larvae had died in situ and was inaccessible. So one of them they couldn't get out. So the second one, the patient was taken to the theatre they couldn't get this one out because it died. Was taken to the theatre, plastic surgery team. The larvae was removed under local anaesthetic. Both wounds were washed with saline, and the patient was taken to lukewarm showers twice daily and to continue to apply ointment until the wound scabbed over. And then it just goes on to talk a little bit about botflies. But yeah, basically, they normally they lay their eggs on like cows and stuff like that, and other mammals. Cow is a mammal, isn't it? Before I sound really stupid. Yeah. I now just sound stupid by asking that question. Until I asked the question. I blame the Heineken. But yeah, they normally do that, and then they let them grow, and then they hatch and they fly off. But it happens quite commonly. Yeah, people go over and these botfly will. I guess they kind of bite you, and lay their. One of the things where they lay their eggs is they bite you, and this what's the word, like parasite, isn't it? Like parasitic. It just lives off you until it's ready, and then
It's mad, isn't it?
It's gross,
horrific.
The reason I know about this already, though, the reason I know about botfly. It's entirely it's not relevant. I mean, it's relevant that I know about it, but it's stupid, really. But do you ever remember those things? It was a strange period in like time, where there was like game shows on TV. They weren't game shows. They were like really late at night, like 1 a.m. they'd come on, and they'd be like a bullshit sort of scammy quiz thing. It was around. It was around the time I was at uni, and they were like, and it's like you couldn't fucking win it, and it'd be like £2 to phone up and like have a go. You might not quite remember it, Tom, because it was we were at uni. You were much younger, I guess, but there was,
probably.
It'd always have like,
maybe,
like sort of they have like a failed actor.
Yeah, like some poor fucking guy that was there, and they'd have to just ad-lib with this like boring ass shit that was going on for like, and they'd be on for like 4 hours a time. It was like when TV would end, and they'd have like these gap fillers, I guess. Like they needed to fill it. And
I think I've seen like the evolution of it at the end, where now like those kind of things are just full-on gambling channels now. Like you come home late at night and put on the TV, and then like you said, it's some guy who wishes he was presenting some game show on prime time, but he's not. He's like, we're going to spin the wheel. What's it going to be? Go on
talking to the camera like all the time.
The guy that wishes he was on a HQ Trivia. That's like their aspiration.
The weird thing about those was like they got like regulars phoning up.
Yeah,
like, if it was a girl presenting, a woman presenting, they'd always be trying to like chirps the female presenter. Like obviously just spend hours sending
money
messages
as well. Must
in
spend loads of money
up and stuff like that.
That's probably before Babe Station. Maybe that's why Babe Station cashed in on that. Like, well, there's some wankers prepared to call up this quiz.
So what's this got to do with botflies?
Oh yeah. So we were at uni, and just whatever, one night it was like 1 a.m. That was the thing about my girlfriends did this as well. They were sort of strangely kind of mesmerising, and I guess that was like. Sometimes late at night, I just have them on. It's just.
Had you had any substances?
We probably had partaken in a few
they got
herbal cigarettes.
Herbal remedies.
Herbal cigarettes, perhaps. And for like 1 a.m, we were like, let's actually try and like guess one of these fucking things. Like, let's see if we can work it out. And it was like some bullshit. It was sort of like a crossword, but it was like four things down, or 4 things across rather, and you had to guess the down word. Like, there was all missing letters, and you had to call up and say what the down word was. Which made these other 4 things, whatever. And people were calling in with all these like legitimate guesses. There were so many things it could have been. Like what they said, it was like, that works. But they were like, no, that's not the answer we're looking for. It's like, oh, it does fit, but sorry, no, oh no, and then it carried on for ages. Eventually no one got it, right? So all these people had rang in, spent all this fucking money, given correct answers, but no, that's not the answer we were looking for. And in the end, the correct answer, one of these letters, these 3-letter words was B something T. So obviously people were saying, words that made it bat or but or bit and the others and things. One of the ones became fife, F-I-F-E, which we just thought was funny at the time as well. Like a fife is like a little musical instrument, like musket, fife and drum. Like who's going to fucking know? And the other one made it bot, B-O-T, and we were like, bot is not a fucking word, and we were cracking up. And we were like, and then we had to Google it, and it turned out a bot is the parasitic larvae of the botfly. So the bot is what the botfly lay. And so then we wanted to.
Why have they got like a specific name for their larvae?
Yeah, and they don't really. Like, no one really. People call them botfly larvae. Like, no one really fucking calls them bot. And it was just bullshit fucking quiz that they'd come up with this scammy bollocks. But so
you've held all this anger in.
So I wanted to go. Originally, we called the working title for the band at uni was Botfly. And I always like that name, Botfly. Me and Josh, who were watching it originally, were like, let's call the band Botfly. And eventually I was like, it's a shit name.
I think it's a good name.
I prefer it to Wagtail, is what I ended up with. Big up Wagtail. I know some of the guys actually listen. Botfly was better. I know Joe's going to message me now saying,
I think
fuck off.
Botfly is a superior name.
Botfly is a really good name if you know the backstory.
Yeah. It's quite. Well, there you go. That's why I know about Bot, the parasitic larvae. And I actually, because I wasn't allowed Botfife as the name, I eventually, one of the songs I wrote at uni, I just called Bot, in brackets, the parasitic larvae of the Botfly.
That's a really Rob Oliver thing to do.
Yeah.
That was good.
I love it.
Well, it wasn't good, actually. That was awful. I hate
it was
parasites.
Awful, yeah.
Those videos, like leeches.
I saw a few while I was looking. In fact, when you said about the spiders, that's what reminded me of the bot thing, because it was a spider eggs story I saw, and I was like, I didn't want to read it. I clicked off it. I was like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
And
that is one of my things that it probably freaks a lot of people out, right? It's normal. That's normal to be freaked out by that. But I remember when I was a kid, I thought that earwigs were not a real thing. Like, they were only things on TV. Like, just a made up thing, like other things that are made up, like vampires. I don't know.
Vampires are real, Tom.
And I thought earwigs. I just thought earwigs were not a real thing, because I think I saw it in a cartoon where this earwig goes in some character's ear and starts controlling him and stuff like that. So I just thought it's a joke, it's an earwig or whatever. And then I remember I was fishing with my dad, and I kept seeing bugs on the floor, and I was like, what's this bug? And my dad's like, that's an earwig. I was like, what? And then that's an earwig. I was like, they don't really go in your ear, do they? And he's like, well, why do you think they're called an earwig? They wiggle in your ear. And then I was freaked out. I remember sleeping with I got my dad's soundproof earmuffs that he uses if he's on a building site or something. And I was sleeping with them on, because we were camping in a tent. Sad. So I'm sleeping with them on, thinking that I'm gonna get earwigs in my ears. And
do they actually go in your ears? Is that actually true?
I don't know.
It's an old wives' tale.
Why else are they called earwigs?
I reckon there probably are cases of them in people's ears.
Yeah.
Maybe once or twice, yeah. So then
maybe not now, so much now, but years ago when people were sleeping outside and in barns and shit, maybe.
What are they actually called? Is it one of those things they're not actually called an earwig?
I think they're called an earwig.
Or is it do you know
no Googling.
What would you, right, this is a fucking weird one. We talk about, do you know those little fuckers, woodlouse? Woodlice? What,
those little fuckers.
Do you have a name for them? Apparently loads of people have a specific name for
people
them.
Do. It's I think it's a regional thing. I call them woodlouse.
I would call them woodlouse. Gina, these fuckers in Kent, right? They call them cheesy bugs.
Oh,
that's why they're on the wrong side of the river.
What?
Yeah,
see? Cheesy bugs.
You stayed down there below that river.
Yeah, everyone calls it. And she said, I was like, I was like, you're just fucking winding me up. I genuinely didn't believe her. I was like, it's just chatting shit. And because she didn't know what a woodlouse. She was like, what's a woodlouse? Or whatever. I was like, it's fucking.
I think woodlice they're one of my favourite little insects. I love them.
They are good little things, yeah. I think that's.
Imagine being able to roll up into a ball.
Yeah, that's the legit name for it. But yeah, I heard on the radio someone did a thing talking about it, and someone rang in and was like, "Yeah, we call them cheesy bugs." It's like, fuck.
Yeah, So
That's
on
dumb.
their Wikipedia page, there's a whole list of different names.
Oh yeah.
Apparently in Essex and East London, they're called dandy postmen.
Fuck off. No, they are not.
That is not true.
Essex, this is Essex cheesy papa.
Cheesy.
No one.
They're all cheese. There's lots of cheesy stuff like cheesy bobs,
They've
cheese
got nothing
log.
to do with cheese.
Yeah, what,
I know, weird. Chucky pig.
no one
bug.
calls them Chucky Pig.
I'll
I'll
have to ask Lynn this. So in the Netherlands, they're called piss the bed.
What?
Piss the bed.
They're called. Yeah, I'm going to ask her
Yeah,
about
ask her that.
On the Isle of Man, they call them granny grunters.
Granny, I like that one.
That's a good one.
Does it say? Is Cheesy Bugs in it? Does it say Kent Cheesy Bugs?
Cheesy bug, North West Kent.
Woodlouse
around
is literally
Gravesend.
the only one there
So that's-
that is not stupid.
Yeah, yeah,
Cheesy
it
Bug.
is. Yeah.
Cheesy bug is like it's localized to Gravesend.
Oh, there you go.
Weird,
Fucking
isn't it?
mad. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's weird, isn't it?
Idiot.
Yeah,
yeah.
fucking backwards. I'm in the
I think the
fucking
best one.
upside down here.
Monkey peas in Kent.
Monkey peas.
Monkey peas. Munculus. Munculus.
Weird, isn't it?
Are they?
Yeah.
What's the actual name for them? I know they've probably got some science name, but like, have they got what they're actually called?
Yeah, it's woodlouse.
No,
Actually,
woodlouse.
correct.
The suborder is Oniscadia.
Yeah, that's the
Oniscadia.
science name I was talking about.
But I think woodlouse are just called woodlouse.
Woodlouse is just actually what they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. If you're normal and
Yeah, not
from
from the
Kent.
upside down.
yeah.
Well, there you go. That was my bit. That
There
was
you
my
go.
fucking bot, the parasitic larvae of the botfly. If you want to hear that song, maybe I'll try and dig it out. Dig it out, stick it in the episode.
The outro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go on, Josh.
Yeah, I enjoyed that, Rob. So my one.
I didn't enjoy
is-
it. I don't enjoy that.
Well, I enjoyed talking about woodlice. to be
Yeah, I
honest.
like that bit.
Yeah.
We have to
I'll
do,
listen back
we have
to
to do
that
an
bit.
insect special.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be a special at one point in the
We
world.
just talk about different
In-
names for stuff.
Yeah, so my one is the death of Gloria Ramirez,
Oh.
otherwise known as the Toxic Lady
Oh,
or the Toxic Woman. Have either of you heard about this?
No.
I know toxic women,
Oh.
but
No.
yeah. No, I haven't.
So yeah, Gloria Ramirez was a woman that died in 1994. So she'd been admitted to the emergency department. This is in America. She'd been suffering from cervical cancer, and then she became quite ill and she got taken to the hospital. But the interesting thing about it, or the weird thing about it, is that tons of nurses and doctors that treated her all started like collapsing and fainting and like were taken seriously ill after they'd been around this woman, when she got brought in. So she died pretty soon after being brought to the hospital. She had complications related to her cervical cancer. And let me just bring it up.
How? Sorry if you
Yeah,
already
so she
said
was
it.
brought
Like,
in-
what years period was this?
So this was in 94.
Oh, okay.
So she was 31 at the time when she died. She'd
Oh.
been suffering from cervical cancer, and she got brought into the emergency department because she was having heart palpitations, so like severe. She wasn't able to breathe. Her blood level was through the roof. She was still conscious at the time when she was brought into the emergency room. She was given diazepam, midazolam, and lorazepam to sedate her. I think they're just like
All the azepams.
muscle relaxants and stuff, I think. However, she sort of started to fade away, I guess. They tried to defibrillate her to get her heart rate back to normal because it was just like through the roof. And at this point, a few people that were in the room saw like an oily substance covering all of her body. So her whole body was covered in this like weird oil. And they also reported a garlic-like smell that was coming from her mouth, like a fruity garlic-like smell. One of the nurses tried to get some blood out of her arm, and when she drew the blood out, it emitted a smell like ammonia, which I think is like
It's like piss.
Isn't that
It's like piss
in
smell.
wee?
Yeah.
yeah. So there was like a strange smell coming from her blood as well. And then after she passed the blood to one of the like attendants in the room, she saw there was like particles floating around in the blood, and she described them as manila-like or manila-coloured particles. So like an envelope, bits like it looked like little bits of envelope floating around in the blood.
That's probably not good, is it?
Probably not good, no. So at this point, the nurse that had drawn the blood out fainted, so she collapsed and she had to be taken out of the room. And then within a minute or so after the nurse fainted, the medical attendant that had been looking at the blood began to feel sick. Well, what's up, Rob?
Oh, you cut out for us.
Your internet cut out. Carry on.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm back. So the nurse fainted, and then the medical attendant that was looking at the blood, she started to feel sick, and she was lightheaded. She was all over the place, so she had to leave the room, and she went and sat down outside of the room. And then before help could get to her, she also fainted. And then a third nurse in the room also fainted as well, like passed
a
out.
Sketch.
Yeah.
So upon the third person fainting, the hospital ordered all of the people in the room to evacuate, and the whole ward was shut down. So the whole hospital had to be evacuated. All of the patients were taken out of the whole of the ward, and they were all taken out into the hospital. And in total, 23 people became ill,
Jesus.
and 5 of them had to be treated in hospital. So they were serious enough that they had to be hospitalised. However, a skeleton crew stayed behind to try and save Gloria Ramirez. However, she was pronounced dead. She died after 50 minutes of CPR being attempted to try and sort of bring her back to life, I guess. So at first, after obviously all this went on, no one died, by the way. All of the nurses and whoever else that was affected, they all survived. So no one died. So at first, when there was an investigation into the into the event, people thought it was mass hysteria. So similar to we spoke about the dancing
pandemic and stuff.
Yeah. So people thought it was maybe a case of that. One person started to feel sick, and because there was this oily sheen on Ramirez's skin, people started to think, is there something going on? Is there something in the air? And then one by one,
it's crazy how that can actually happen, isn't it?
Yeah. However, that's never been proved. So that was sort of put to some of the people that were in the room, and the lady who looked at the blood, her surname's Gorczynski. So she denied that she'd been affected by mass hysteria and pointed to her own medical history as evidence. After the exposure, she spent 2 weeks in the intensive care unit with breathing problems, and then she later developed hepatitis and avascular necrosis, which sounds like dying muscle tissue. Yeah. Necrosis normally means rotting, isn't it? I think bone infection in her knees. So she was, genuinely medically unwell. So the coroner started to look into the incident to try and find out what the problem was. They found that Ramirez had been using, one of the suggestions was that this lady had been using something called dimethyl sulfoxide as a home remedy for pain, which is like a solvent, like a really, really powerful solvent. I don't think you can get it in the UK, but in the US you could get it as like a to get grease off of stuff, and it was like
like white spirit shit.
Yeah, but probably for use in restaurants and shit like that.
Yeah.
So there was reports maybe she was using this as a home remedy for pain, and then her body had, emitted it because it wasn't able to break it down. It just stayed in her body. Probably was why she died, and her heart was struggling. So it is quite a common thing for people to use as like a home remedy, apparently, because a lot of other people reported that it tastes like garlic, which again could tie into the garlic smell that was coming off of the the lady's mouth, and it comes in like a gel. So people also said, maybe she was like smearing it on her arms and stuff, and that was why it looked greasy, why her skin looked greasy. So the theory is that that alone wasn't enough to cause all this, to cause her to die and then to affect all the people. So one of the theories was that the oxygen that she was given when she came in combined with it to create dimethyl sulfone, which crystallizes, which would again be in the blood. So that's what the crystals are. And then when she was defibrillated, that further sort of
knocked it into
converted
overdrive,
it into
catalysed
dimethyl
it, yeah.
sulfate, which is like a really, really toxic version of sulfuric acid.
Crazy.
Which then which could have caused some of the symptoms that these people were having.
This is some like house shit.
That is somehow, yeah, that's like real life house, isn't it? Fuck me.
It's mad, isn't it? But this has never been proved. It's never been confirmed. It's never been confirmed. But that's like the biggest sort of theory that that it could be.
No, I believe it.
It's just like, so her body, after she died, 2 months after she died, her body was used or released for an independent autopsy. By this point, it was badly decomposed, so they weren't able to perform like a proper autopsy. However, they leant on the side of this DMSO conclusion, which was the what we've just spoken about. That was the conclusion given by the coroner, that it was this chain event of different conversions within like specific chemicals in her body from this thing she was using.
Yeah,
that caused it. However, the family disagreed, and they weren't able to definitively say or determine what the cause of death was, because her heart was missing, which is weird. Don't know where the heart was.
What?
It says here her other organs.
I think that's what killed her.
Yeah, so
I'm not a doctor. I've never told you guys, but I'm not a doctor. But I don't think you can live without a heart.
Maybe not.
Other organs
maybe not, I don't know.
are available.
Oh, yeah. Well, her other organs were cross-contaminated with fecal matter. Nice, isn't it? I mean, what's going on there? And they've got poo all over them. So, yeah, like I say, it's never. There's no definitive answer to what happened.
Like,
with
when was this?
Laura
What year was this? I missed the start.
This was in 94.
Okay, so not that long ago.
This was in California as well. Yeah, California.
Over a lifetime ago.
So a lot of people have like since, or medical professionals have since like analysed it to try and give their input into it. However, no one has been able to give a better explanation than the official coroner's report. However, people have pointed out some like inconsistencies in it. And yeah, there's no other theory other than it was this thing, but we can't say it is that thing because it's so unlikely that it's happened. But yeah, so this woman almost killed 23 people.
Yeah, that's the crazy part that I've like forgot about. That
it's crazy.
I'm less interested in like finding out the exact reason to how she died, but the fact that 23 people like passed out and
that's the mad bit.
That's weird. Yeah,
mental.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Gloria Ramirez,
the toxic woman.
That's it, really. There's nothing more to that one.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That's interesting.
There was other one weird thing that I wanted to talk about, which is pretty grim, a bit depressing as well. To be honest.
Is it quick?
Have either of you heard? It's quick, yeah. Because we've also got to talk about Terrar or Terrar.
Yeah.
Speak about Terrar.
Oh, we're already over the hour. Just a heads up.
All
right, Lawford.
I want a slash. I've been drinking beer.
So this is something called lithopedion. I think we've spoken about this once before, like a long time ago. Have you heard of a lithopedion?
Great, definitely talk about it then. Like, repeat stuff. Even more.
No. All right then. Do you remember a lithopedion, Rob?
No, I fucking don't.
Then I'll talk about it. You fucking go. It's pretty grim. It's pretty bleak. So a lithopedion, otherwise known as a stone baby, is a rare phenomenon which occurs most commonly when a fetus dies during an abdominal pregnancy.
Savage.
Is too large to be reabsorbed by the body and calcifies on the outside as part of a foreign body reaction, shielding the mother's body from the dead tissue of the fetus and preventing infection. So effectively, it's when a fetus dies, so it doesn't survive, but it isn't aborted, like in the sense that it isn't removed from the mother, and they just turn into calcified,
it's like stone babies,
like rocks, effectively, like stone. Yeah. And some people live with them for 30 years. Just they won't know, and then they'll.
Well, they never really knew they were pregnant. Like.
yeah, some people don't know
Yeah,
they're pregnant.
yeah.
Other people do. They think they've had a miscarriage, and then it turns out that it's still in,
Savage.
it's still in the womb, or I think
That is bleak.
it happens more in
I'm
an
glad you brought this up.
abdominal
Not
pregnancy.
nice light-hearted ending, George. Fucking well done.
Yeah, but the mad thing is that they're almost like little statues. Like if you look it up online,
Nah, thanks.
they look like babies, but they're just
They're not.
calcified.
That's crazy. That
so
is
it's
crazy.
just crazy.
That is.
Yeah, it's just I thought it quite. I found it quite interesting. Like some people,
It is interesting.
there's examples.
Yeah.
Some people have them for like 40 years,
Mad.
50
Yeah,
years,
fucking mad.
and they will have like successful pregnancies after. They'll
Oh, right.
have
Fucking
a
hell, that is
baby,
mad.
and
Oh.
so yeah, after that they will have another baby, and just never know that they've got this.
And when do they
stone
normally find
inside
out?
them, I
Eventually,
guess.
they'll just have some sort of issue and they'll get a scan or something. Or
Yeah, I think a lot of them have reported like abdominal pain and stuff like that, and then I guess they'll find it then.
it's a bit like it's probably not like at all scientifically, but it reminds me of when people have like tumors that have like teeth and hair. And that you heard about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
That's
Yeah,
fucked up.
That's fucked up.
yeah, it's mad.
Sorry if anybody who has a teethy, hairy tumour is offended.
Yeah, we should have really put like a fucking squeamish warning at the start of this one, shouldn't we? Like
Yeah.
it's fucking pretty
it.
obvious. Medical oddities, I guess, is not exactly
Yeah, deal with it.
walk in the park. Deal with it. Of course, Tom's had a beer. Fucking hell.
If they've made it this far, they're all right.
Yeah, that's true.
It is true.
You lot are all right.
Well, yeah.
Do you want to talk about Terraria, or should we release him as a little bonus episode?
A bonus episode of 10 minutes. Well, you've teased it so much, George.
Yeah.
We need to, don't we? So Terraria is pretty similar to the guy that Tom brought up earlier.
What was his name?
So yeah, this was on an episode that we spoke about Terraria before, but the episode got lost mysteriously. No one knows where it went. So Terraria, he lived from 1772 to 1798. So he died the year before Tom's guy was around munching on stuff. So he was a
Reincarnated.
French showman and soldier.
Yeah.
Sorry? What happened there?
Carry on.
Hello, Tom.
Hello. Yeah, no, you froze, but
Yeah,
I
you
was
froze,
letting
but I
you
was
carry on talking.
starting it
Okay.
out, because it recorded on your mic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he was a French showman and soldier noted for his unusual appetite and eating habits, able to eat vast amounts of meat. He was also constantly hungry, similar like the other guy. Parents could not provide for him, and they turned him out, so they threw him out of the home.
Reasonable.
He travelled France in the company of a band of thieves and prostitutes before becoming the warm-up act to a travelling charlatan. I'd love to be known as a charlatan.
It's like cheeky chappy crimes, it sounds like, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's better than con man.
I think so, yeah. It's one above con man.
Yeah.
Oh, I never knew what the word charlatan meant.
Yeah. Same sort of thing, really, isn't it? It's like a con man. I guess.
Yeah, a con man. So in this act, he would swallow corks, stones, live animals, and a whole basket full of
Live
apples.
animals.
Live animals. A bit of a theme with live animals,
Yeah.
isn't there? And then at the start of the War of the First Coalition, he joined the French Revolutionary Army.
So this is later then. This is later than Matey. What year did you say this was? Terraire?
It was earlier.
Terraire.
Oh, is it
So
earlier?
Terraire died in
Yeah.
1798.
Well, I think they both existed at the
So-
same time because
1790. When was your bloke, Tom?
the records were from like 1799, so it seems like they
fucking
existed
hell.
at the same time.
Yeah, that's weird.
Maybe at the same sort of time. They exist in the same universe, the same Marvel cinematic universe.
Yeah.
So when he was in the army, even quadruple the standard ration was unable to satisfy his appetite.
Wow.
He would eat any available food from gutters and refuse heaps, but his condition still deteriorated through hunger, and he started to be hospitalised because he was exhausted. He just wasn't able to eat as much stuff. And when he was in hospital, he became the subject of a series of medical experiments, again to test his eating capacity. So it's similar. So in one instance, he ate a meal intended for 15 people in a single sitting. He ate live cats, snakes, lizards, and puppies. Puppies is horrible.
Man, it's rough being a
and
animal
swallowed
in 1700 France.
Fucking hell, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
madness. And he swallowed eels without chewing, so he just swallowed them whole. Despite his unusual diet, he was underweight, so he was chronically underweight, and with the exception of his eating habits, he showed no signs of mental illness. So yeah, he would just eat anything effectively. So when he was in the army, he got used as a courier. So the intent was that he'd swallow documents and then go through enemy lines and then recover them from his poo. Once he was at his destination, and hand it over to the to whoever he needed to hand over to. However, little flaw in the plan, Tom. On his first mission, he was captured by Prussian forces because he couldn't speak German. So they just sent him across enemy lines without being able to speak the language. And he underwent a mock execution before he was returned to French lines. However, there is a bit further in here. Yeah, so he was unable to speak German and he got captured. The local Prussian commander, General Zogli, interrogated him. They sort of knew that he was there for some reason. They wanted to try and get the message. So they chucked him in a cell and just didn't feed him at all. And after 24 hours, he sort of gave up and then told them exactly what he was there to do, what the situation was. So they chained him to a toilet. And then 30 hours after being swallowed, the wooden box emerged. So I forgot to mention that the document was put inside a wooden box. Right. It wasn't just papers. So Terrere had said it had vital intelligence in it, so which is why the Prussians were so eager to get a hold of it. However, when they looked at the message, it was just nonsense. There was just nothing there. It was like a dummy message, almost like a test.
Clever.
So they took him to a gallows and then pretended to hang him, just to scare him, I guess. And then, for some reason, just let him go. And then he was taken back to the French lines.
Good guy, Prussians.
So there's a little bit of a description about Terrere as well. So he, like I said before, he was slim and of average height. At the age of 17, he weighed only 100 pounds. He was described as having unusually soft fair hair and an abnormally wide mouth, roughly 4 inches between his jaws when his mouth was fully extended. His teeth were heavily stained, and the lips were almost invisible.
4 inches is crazy.
That's mad, isn't it? 4 inches.
Go on, show us 4 inches, Tom.
Yeah, I got my measuring tape.
That's a sentence. Go on, isolate that bit. Go on, show us 4 inches. Now, fuck off. That is absolutely crazy.
It's
mad, isn't it? It's like a cartoon.
For the viewers, my mouth. My mouth is 2 3/4 inches from like lip to lip when I'm as wide as I can go. So his is 4. That's pretty big, and
that's crazy.
My mouth's not that small.
That's fucking.
So when he hadn't eaten, his skin would hang so loosely that he could wrap the fold of skin from his abdomen all the way around his waist. So he could almost like wrap himself in his own skin.
Try the skin bit. You've done the mouth.
What do you mean try that?
My skin doesn't go far at all.
And wrap it all the way around your waist. Like you got like when you tie your jacket around your waist. Just do it with his loose skin.
However, when he was full, his abdomen would distend like a huge balloon. The skin of his cheeks was wrinkled and hung loosely. And when stretched out, he could hold 12 eggs or apples in his mouth. That's a lot, isn't it?
I'll go get the eggs.
So his body was hot to the touch and he sweated heavily. He constantly had foul body odour. He was described as stinking to such a degree that he could not be endured within a distance of 20 paces. And apparently this smell would get a lot worse after he had eaten. When he did have one of his big, feasts, his eyes and his cheeks would become bloodshot. A visible vapour would rise from his body, and he would become lethargic, during which time he would belch noisily and his jaws would make swallowing motions. This is good. He had chronic diarrhea, which was said to be fetid beyond all conception.
What does that mean? Smells
way to
bad.
describe diarrhea. Fetid beyond all conception. Does that mean smelly?
Yeah.
So fetid is just
like
horrendous,
rotten,
and then
like
beyond all conception.
Yeah. Fetid beyond
putrid.
all conception. That's great.
Fetid beyond all conception.
It's the most poetic way I've ever heard anyone describe shit.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just say, "Oh, it stinks."
I might use that one.
Really smelly.
I wouldn't go near after me, lads. That what I've just done is fetid beyond all conception.
So he didn't appear to vomit, and he didn't gain weight. Excessively. He just stayed the same weight. No one really knows what was wrong with him. There's been a few. It does say there's other documented cases of similar behaviour from the period.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Which probably includes your one, Tom. However, none of the subjects other than Terrare were autopsied. However, your one may have been.
That's what they said.
No, that was the galley slave.
Yeah, it was a knife. No,
Yeah,
they did autopsy Tom's one.
They autopsied the guy who was eating wood
slave,
and that, but not the guy who was eating loads of meat.
Yeah. Sorry, I got confused.
So he's the only sort of sufferer that was autopsied, and there's been no modern cases that resemble Terrare. A few theories is hyperthyroidism, which can cause extreme appetite, rapid weight loss, profuse sweating, heat intolerance, and fine hair. And then someone else has speculated that he had a damaged amygdala, which is amygdala. Amygdala. It's part of your brain, isn't it, I think.
It's a part of the brain that supposedly deals with like happiness, I think is what they say, the amygdala.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah?
I thought it, Oh, maybe. I thought it was like the part that's like all your like instinctual like reflexes and like like I don't know.
I thought it was happiness because we had a song at uni in Botfly, the band formerly known as Botfly, called Amygdala.
Right, okay, so you already know. You're like Slumdog Millionaire, where like there's like random facts that you shouldn't know, but there's like some reason from your past that you know it. Yeah. We were playing duck ball, and I
love the fact you remember duck ball. That's great.
I love it. The reason for that is apparently that injuries to the amygdala in animals can induce pilophagia, which is the abnormally strong sensation of hunger or desire to eat, which causes animals and people to overeat. So potentially it's that. So he just, in general, just used to eat loads of stuff.
Good on him.
One of the tests was he ate an entire meal of 2 large meat pies, plates of grease and salt, and 4 gallons of milk, and then immediately fell asleep. So the doctor noted that Terrare's belly became taut and inflated like a large balloon. On another occasion, he was presented with a live cat. He proceeded to tear the cat's abdomen open with his teeth, drank its blood, and then proceeded to eat the entire cat aside from its bones before vomiting up its fur and skin. Following this, the staff at the hospital began to offer him a variety of other animals, including puppies, which makes me sad.
I use probably cats as well.
I'm more of a dog person, so the idea of a puppy being eaten makes me sadder, I guess. I don't know. Cats can be a bit of a.
Right, we could debate that. Let's move on.
You're fucking wrong.
All creatures.
So there was a few like attempts to cure him. He was like getting desperate. Really, it doesn't sound like he wanted to have this sort of ailment.
Well,
so one of the doctors, it sounds pretty horrible.
live fucking animals.
Being fetid beyond conception.
So he became like the sort of a close friend to this particular doctor who like sort of did a lot of experiments on him and spent a lot of time with him. And he treated him with laudanum, white wine vinegar, and tobacco pills, but everything was unsuccessful. Following this, he fed him large quantities of soft-boiled eggs, but this also failed to suppress his appetite. Why would that suppress? Are they famous for that?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
If the soft-boiled eggs aren't doing it, I don't know where we're going to go from here. He starts off with all the medicine and pills, and then he's like, if that ain't going to do it, soft-boiled eggs.
So this is towards the end of like this doctor's association with him, because he was trying to help him out, but they were trying to keep him on a diet. However, he would sneak out of the hospital to scavenge for offal outside butcher shops and to fight stray dogs for carrion in gutters, alleys, and rubbish heaps. He was also caught several times within the hospital drinking from patients undergoing bloodletting and attempting to eat the bodies in the hospital mortuary. Other doctors in the hospital believed that he was mentally ill and wanted to get him transferred to a lunatic asylum. However, Percy, this particular doctor, was interested in continuing his experiments, and he remained in the hospital. However, after some time, a 14-month-old child disappeared from the hospital, and Terrere was suspected. This was like the final straw. There was no proof whether he did eat the baby or not, but he was thrown out of the hospital.
Thrown out, was it?
In fact, he was chased. The hospital staff chased Terrere from the hospital, to which he never returned. So he was sort of thrown out. And then there was not much known about Terrere for the next sort of 4 years, until another doctor in another hospital in Versailles contacted Percy, so the original doctor, to notify him that a patient of theirs wished to see him. He went to the hospital, went to Versailles, and found that it was Terrere, who was bedridden and extremely weak. Terrere told Percy that he had swallowed a golden fork 2 years earlier, which he believed was lodged inside him and causing his current weakness. He hoped that Percy could find some way to remove it. Percy, however, recognised that he had advanced tuberculosis, and a month later, Terrere began to experience continuous exudative, can't even say that word, exudative diarrhea, dying shortly afterwards. After he died, the corpse rotted quickly, and all other surgeons in the hospital refused to dissect it. However, one of the doctors did, so he performed an autopsy, and he also wanted to find out whether the gold fork was actually inside him. So at the autopsy, his gullet, which I think is like the top bit of your neck, isn't it?
I think so.
Was found to be abnormally wide, and when his jaws were opened, surgeons could see down a broad canal into his stomach. So they could look directly down into his stomach,
wide
whereas I guess normally, his body was found to be filled with pus. His liver and gallbladder were abnormally large, and his stomach was enormous, covered in ulcers, and filled most of his abdominal cavity.
Big boy.
And it says here, just to end this, it says, the fork was never found.
Oh.
So that was Terrere.
I was just thinking, imagine having diarrhea in like 1790. When you have the shits, it's bad enough even when you can go to your porcelain toilet and flush it away with a couple gallons of water and never see it again.
With your nice 4-ply toilet paper.
Yeah,
as well.
I bet like in a hospital it was just like shitting in a bucket next to the bed or something like that. Like I bet it was fucking awful.
Pretty horrendous.
And especially when it was, what was the word?
Fetid
beyond conception. Yeah. Christ. Well, that's a
good tagline. Maybe we'll put that on the Curios cast.
Well, I'm really glad.
So yeah, that was Terrere.
Fucking I'm glad we spoke about Terrere now. Thanks. Well, I mean, it was an upwards tick from the previous story. So
yeah.
What, the Lithopedion?
Yes.
Lithopedion.
Yeah. All right, that is medical oddities.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
Cheery episode.
Nice happy episode.
Next week we're going to come at you with a weird news as standard. Stay tuned for next week's episode.
All right.
Whoa.
Peace.
Better put a different top on, yeah?
See you later.
See ya.
Cheers. Bye.